The queen of how to. Come on and see what I'm gonna show you how to do. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Beverly Kane and this is my channel called The Queen of How To. That's me. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to take a simple t-shirt and turn it into something beautiful. I'm going to add a little ruffle to this without any sewing whatsoever. So I got this shirt from Goodwill. It was $2. Actually, it was $1.97, something like that. So I'm going to show you how to really take this to a whole nother level. All right, so stick with me and we'll get started. So I am now going to show you how to take this t-shirt from ordinary to extraordinary with just a few simple tools. The only thing you need, obviously, whatever t-shirt you're choosing, a really good pair of scissors. Remember, if you're using your scissors for cloth, only use your scissors for cloth. Don't use them for anything else. And a safety pin. And I have a safety pin that I've already put in the shirt where I want to cut it. So I just put it on and decided how, long I wanted the shirt to be. So that's where my safety pin is. So now what I'm going to do, where I want to make sure I'm using this on a flat surface. Turn it so you guys can see. Make sure I'm flattening it out, straightening it out completely so that it's nice and smooth. And honestly, probably using a ruler or what's that thing called? A yardstick or something like that would be best. But I cannot find it. I know that they exist in this house. Where they are, I don't know. So I'm going to eyeball it. So again, I just want to make sure everything is laid out nice and smooth. And then where my pin is, I am just going to fold it up to there and make sure it's even on both sides. All right, there it is. Just fold it. And then I am just going to cut straight across. So I'm making sure, let's just eyeballing it, making sure that it's, even all the way across, smoothing it out. And then now I'm just going to cut this straight across. All right. Here we go. And I'm going to cut the shirt off. Just like that. Easy peasy. All right, so now I have my shirt. That is the length that I want. And now I have this remainder piece. So what I'm going to do now, I don't need that in there anymore. Whoo, having a hot flash. Okay. Oh. All right, I don't know if anybody else out there is experiencing these right now, but they are not that much fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just half this piece. Well, almost half. So, because I do need a little piece left, and I will tell you what that's for in a second. But I'm just going to put that a little less than half. I'm folding it a little less than half. Okay, hopefully you can see that. That's where it is. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut it. And this is going to become a little ruffle for the end of our shirt. All right, so I'm going to fold that in half and I'm going to cut this end off. All right, stay in place, little material. All right, we're just going to cut that all the way. And now I'm just going to cut this in half. So where I have it folded right here, I'm just going to cut that half of it. All right, I hope all of this makes sense. So let's just hold that and cut it. All right. There we go. So now we have this piece that is about 2.5 inches or so. This piece that's the same length, about 2.5 inches or so. And like I said, this is going to become our ruffle. Oh, that feels nice. Okay, so what we're going to do with this part, we are going to use this too. This is going to become our t-shirt yarn that we're going to weave through to be able to make our shirt, to make this attach. Like I said, so we're not using any kind of sewing or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is just flatten this out, and then I'm just going to cut this in half. But again, I'm just going to eyeball it so that I'm not taking a whole bunch of time. But if you're somebody who feels like, okay, I really want to make sure this is very precise, then you most definitely can just go ahead and measure it. But this is going to give me about an inch. Well, an inch for each side. All right, because I'm cutting this in half, and this is about 2 inches. So let's just cut that all the way to the end. All right, let me just cut it this way because it is not wanting to stay together, but that's okay. All right, just cut it all the way around. All right, and that's where we end it. So now I have this piece and I have that piece, and this piece is still together. So what I'm going to do is just cut it at the seam. Let's find the seam. Okay, here's the seam. I'm just going to cut it. And what you do to create the yarn is literally just stretch it. You're just going to stretch it as much as you possibly can until you hear it stop sounding like it's tearing. It's not tearing, but it is stretching that material until it's, to as far as it can go. And what we're doing is creating some t-shirt yarn that I'm going to use to weave in and out of this shirt to create this beautiful fringe on the end of my shirt. All right, so I'll cut that, stretch that all the way. So you just stretch it. And now we have this nice piece of yarn, and we only need this one piece, so we don't need this. So now what happens is, again, I feel like that could do a little more stretching. There we go. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is make some little slits. Woo, hot. So I'm gonna make my slits, again, just eyeballing it. Before I make the slits, I just need to fold it up just maybe an inch. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how I'm sitting here melting. You know what? I have a neck fan right now, and I'm gonna put it on because I am not gonna make it if I don't. But I gotta take these earrings off because they're knocking up against it. And I hope that's not causing a lot of noise for the microphone, but I can't take it. So I'm just gonna fold this up about, like I said, half an inch or so in the front and in the back, all the way around. Let's make sure it's even. All right, so that's the front, and now we can do the same thing for the back. Just fold it. And it doesn't have to be exact, but you just want it about the same all the way around. So now that's done. I've folded it up, as you can see, about, that's maybe about half an inch or so. Then what I'm gonna do is take my scissors and make little, like inch apart, tiny little slits, just little bitty slits. So let me see if I can bring you closer so you can see what is happening here. So I am just going to take my scissors, and right here on this little folded edge that I have created, I am just going to make little slits. They don't need to be big, but just a little slit. And that is where some good scissors come in handy, okay? So I'm just going to start to make little slits. And then I'm just going to start this so you can see, and then I'll come back because you don't need to see me do this whole thing, right? So just about an inch apart, and I'm making a tiny little slit. Just big enough that my yarn is going to be able to go through. And so I'm going to do that all the way around the front and all the way around the back, and then I'll be back. So I finished cutting all my little slits, and what I realized is because I have this folded and it is, front and back, I can just cut both sides of the slits at the same time. I don't have to cut the front and then cut the back. Literally, because they're folded together and I need those slits pretty much the same distance apart and I need them, just small, I could just hold it together and cut and get the slit in the front and the back at the same time. That saved a lot of time. Okay, so now I have all these little slits all in my t-shirt. Hopefully you can see that. See those little slits right there? So now what I need to do is take one of these pieces and just cut. Whoop. Okay, I didn't mean to throw that away, but I'll get it in a second. Okay, so I'm just going to cut the seam out of one piece and do the same for the other. All right, and then I'm going to open this out and fold it in half and do the same thing. I'm going to cut little slits, but instead of cutting them 1 inch, I'm going to cut them 2 inches apart so that I create a nice little ruffle. Because if I cut it the same size, then it won't bunch together well. But because I am cutting it twice the length of the size of the cuts that I just made, so I made these about 1 inch apart. These cuts I'm going to make about 2 inches apart. But again, I've just folded this in half and then I'm going to cut little slits all the way around. Okay, so let's get that laid out. And so I'm going to start to do, hold on. I want to make sure this is together. Let's stay together. All right, so got that. And now, I can either eyeball it or I can use the little slits that I have from the first one and just measure, go twice as far apart for these slits. So to do that, and honestly, let me put my glasses on so I can see what's going on here. So I can start the first one right here. And then I go, not the next one, but go 2 over and cut the next little slit. 2 over, cut the next little slit. So I'm just going to do that all the way around and I'll be back. So now I have my 1 inch holes in the bottom of my t-shirt and I have the 2 inch apart holes in my little, extra piece of cloth here in both pieces of this. And you need both pieces because that's what's going to give you enough to gather to create your ruffle. And what I need to do now is take the little t-shirt yarn that we created and use a safety pin and put it on the end just so we can weave that in and out of the holes. So show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to start, make sure I see the first hole here. Get that second piece in a minute and make sure it's turned on the right side. We want it on the right side, not inside out. All right, put it on the right side because this is going to show. And I'm just going to start from the back side of my seam on my t-shirt, go through that first hole, and then find the first hole here on my little ruffle and pull that through. Not quite all the way to the end because you want to make sure you leave some. All right, so that goes under here and then it comes up and then it's going to come back through and I'm just going to weave in and out the whole time. So it goes under there. So now we're going back up and I need to find the next hole on my ruffle and pull that through. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to go over this time. So again, this is very simple. I'm just going, going back and forth to weave it in and out of these holes that I have created. And so it's going to go in and out, in and out. And as you'll see, by the time I'm done, I've created a nice little ruffle that is going to be super cute on the bottom of this shirt. So this takes a little time, but hey, it'll be worth it. So now I've woven all the way around the whole thing, but I'm going to show you how I end it. So I have this piece that I'm still finishing and this piece that I started with, and I'm just going to combine them. So I am on top now, so I need to go back through this hole and go through the hole in the shirt. And then I'm just going to overlay this last hole from the where I started. So this time I'm going through three. I'm going through this one, and the last hole in, the piece that I started. And then I'm going to go back through this last hole just so that it, back through the hole that I started with. That way I have a place that I can tie. Oh, hold on, it's getting stuck in there. That way I have a place that I can tie my little ribbon. So this is the shirt. And see, it has a nice little fringe on the end. So I'm gonna go try it on so you can see what it looks like. And I'll be right back. All right. So this is the finished product. Super cute little fringe all the way around the bottom of this once very simple, very plain t-shirt. So isn't that adorable? And so it ties here, and if I want to tighten it, if I want to loosen it, I could do whichever I choose. Very versatile. So I hope all of that made sense, first of all, and I hope you will give it a try. It really is simple. Cut a few slits, weave it in and out. You only need a few simple, things to be able to make it happen. The t-shirt, a pair of good scissors, and a safety pin. That's it. That's all I use. No sewing required. And now I have a super cute, super fun shirt that I got for $2 at Goodwill. I hope you guys again will like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. And don't forget to come back next Monday to see what's new from the Queen of How To. Have a good one.